Hey everyone, it's Jennifer McGuire from 2peasindabucket.com. This video is going to talk about alcohol inks and using it on clear products. I've got a ton of samples here and I'm going to walk you through some of the techniques, but really you can do any of these techniques on anything clear, like clear buttons, acetate, fragments, or glass, or plastic, or whatever you want. So let me show you some of the things that you can do with it. Really, you're using them just like you would on the glossy paper that we did in the other videos. You just take your inking tool with a piece of felt and you press your Ranger alcohol inks right to the felt and squirt out a little bit of the color. Here I'm doing different shades of blue and teal. I think it's denim, maybe cloudy blue, and some stream. And I'm going to squeeze those out onto the piece of felt. You don't need that much ink. A little goes a long way with this stuff. And this is memory glass from Ranger. It comes in different shapes and sizes, squares and rectangles, and it's great for just adding a little bit of shine to a card or scrapbook page. You can see the color here. I apologize, the video doesn't show these things very well, but you can see it looks like a stained glass effect. Now you can do one or both sides of your piece of glass or acetate or whatever you're using. The more ink you put on, the darker it'll be, and if you do both sides, it'll be even darker. So you can play around with it and get whatever look you would like. Now you can kind of zap this with a heat gun as you're going, which helps to make it spread some because it stays wet on the surface for just a few minutes. And you can also use your blending ink from the blending ink that goes with the alcohol inks from Ranger. So you can play around with different effects. Now when I do get a look I like to zap it with a heat gun so that it'll stay nice looking like that, kind of finish it off. Now this is just a transparent card, an acetate card from Hero Arts, and I just wanted to show you how you can take your extra ink on the felt and color any of your transparency with a light shade or a dark shade. And here's just another example. This is a fragment from Tim Holtz, which are little charm shapes, and I added color to the back of it. So I'm just going to show you another one. You can also drop color directly onto the glass and then go from there. You can use metallics as we have before, the metallic mixatives. You can use any colors you want. Sorry, I kind of worked off the screen there. I'm not sure what I was thinking. But you can just keep adding more color, and here I'm adding some more copper to it to get whatever desired look you want. Then you can stamp right on it, or I like to flip it over so that the ink side is face down and then stamp on the uninked side. I think for some reason the color to me looks better on the back side when you put it onto something. And I like to take these and put glossy accents, a big glob of glossy accents on the back of it, and flatten it down on some paper and cut it out so it's got a nice backing to it, because you can see when it's up against white you can see the color better. On this one I applied the inks in kind of a rainbow look, and then I put some vintage text paper behind it. Now with the metallics, you can use the metallics alone. On this little fragment, which are these little charms, again from Tim Holtz, I put pearl mixative on the back of it, just the pearl mixative, and then I stamped on the front of it. So I'm just going to take a new piece of felt, put lots of pearl fixative on it, and I put a few layers on. I put a layer on, I let it dry for 30 seconds, or I heated it with a heat gun, and then I put on another layer, and you can see it going on to a nice thick layer there.
Either.
And it's got a really nice shine in real life. And here it is with some Hero Arts stamps. These are also, coming up next are some clear buttons from Hero Arts that I put copper on the back of. So you end up with these copper shine to your buttons. It's something fun and unique to do. Now you can apply multiple colors, like I said before. This one I decided to use a piece of felt with some reds and oranges on it, and then a piece of felt with some blues and greens, and then I kept going over it and over it, and the more you kind of pounce on it, the more kind of splotchy it gets, which just increases the interest in it, and you can just keep going until you're happy with what you've got. Here's another one that I did. This was a big fragment from Tim Holtz. I think it's 4 inches wide, but you can see how if you keep going you can get some crazy looks. Same with this one. I did the rainbow and I just pounced and kept pouncing on it to get this effect. Now you can also do something called kissing. Kissing is when you touch something to a stamp to get a different look, and that's what I did on this fragment. You can see that flourish in it. I'll show you how I did that. First of all, I just put a heavy amount of ink on it. You can see here I'm heating it with the heat gun to kind of move it around and dry it quickly. Now I'm going to take this stamp from Hero Arts and then this archival ink from Ranger. You can see the archival ink here. This is the ink that works for this technique. And I just ink up my stamp really good. And then I'm going to take my fragment, ink side down, so ink touches ink here, and press it firmly onto the stamp. And then before I let that black dry, I'm going to kind of wipe it off with a rag. So you can see that this ink kind of removes, the black ink removes, leaving kind of a resist look. So when you kiss these inks together, you get a resist look. It's really unique. I love the look of it. And I don't know if this works with any other inks, but I know it works with this archival ink from Ranger, and I like the results. So here you can see I got it backed with some white paper here. Just stuck it on there with some glossy accents. Then I just wanted to show you how you can do all kinds of different things with these pieces of clear. They can be acetates, Heidi Swaps Invisibles, anything you want. You can even swipe color across it like we did on the glossy paper. So you can get really neat effects this way. Hero Arts has clear note cards that are neat with this too. So I kind of changed my mind and I decided I just wanted to apply a lot of ink to this. Now if at any point you aren't happy with your results, you can use Hero Arts Ultra Clean, which is a stamp cleaner, and it'll clear these pieces right off. I keep that stamp cleaner for cleaning up StazOn and other inks also, and I clean all of my stamps with it, even though it's supposedly for clear stamps. It works for everything. So there you can see a nice dark layer of ink on there, and I'm just keep putting on more. And watch, as I heat it with the heat gun, you can see it kind of blends smoother, and so you get less of the bubbly look. So now I'm going to dry this real good, and I'm going to take the Fern stamp from Hero Arts and ink it up with that archival black ink. And then I'm going to kiss that against the ink side of that fragment. We're just going to remove some of the ink again so it gives you a resist look. This kind of thing looks good when it's backed with some vintage text paper or a subtle pattern. You can get totally change the look of these pieces. And again, you can do this with pieces of transparency or glass or little clear buttons, anything you want. Now speaking of transparency or acetate, here's a card that I did using alcohol inks. That piece in the center is actually cut from transparency, and I put pop dots behind it to raise it up, which really makes a great impact when it's raised up. Now this is a transparent tag from Hero Arts. They're just acetate tags, nice and thick, and I embossed it with the Quick Cuts embossing folder, and I'm applying alcohol inks directly to it. And so you can see how the embossed areas kind of treat the ink a little bit differently, so you get great texture. And don't put too much heat on it because it'll warp, but you can add a little bit of heat. Next up is another thing that I was playing around and I discovered. You can take a white rub-on of good quality, like these from Basic Gray, and apply it right to your clean fragment, or glass or acetate, whatever you want. Then you can ink right over the rub-on, and you won't see it, but don't worry. So put as much ink on it as you want, zap it with a heat gun, and when you flip it over, you'll see the rub-on image there. Even though you didn't see it from the side you were inking, you'll see it on the other side. So here's one of the fragments I did with a Basic Gray rub-on. Then I just thought I'd show you a few more pieces that I made. This one has some of the metallic in it, and a Hero Arts stamp on the front. And the next one I actually stamped with an embossing ink and put some white embossing powder on. So you can get a white look on it too. And then this one I did lots of stamping and used a black permanent pen for the dots on the trail of the butterfly. So here are a bunch of the different pieces of glass and fragments that I did. For more questions and products, visit 2peasinabucket.com.